Breaking the chains of addiction. How to overcome bad habits.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to unpack a super interesting original text together. Honestly, this material is nothing short of a masterclass in psychology and philosophy. Through a series of fascinating conceptual frameworks, it precisely diagnoses our psychological habits, revealing exactly how we get hopelessly trapped by our own bad habits. But don't worry, this is definitely not a dry, preachy lecture. It also provides a crystal clear roadmap to inner freedom. So let us dive in and decode the ultimate underlying logic of human behavior. Without further ado, let us look at today's roadmap. The root of suffering, diagnosing our toxic habits. The field of blessings, gratitude, the power of connection. The sixth sense is the protective shield guarding our perception. Untying the knots of entanglement, the path to liberation. E. The root of suffering, diagnosing our toxic habits. Have you ever noticed how whenever you want to build a good habit or do something positive, you hit roadblocks everywhere? But the moment you want to slack off or throw a tantrum, well, it's a smooth, obstacle-free highway. We define the state of involuntary loss of control as an obstacle. This lack of control most frequently manifests through our mouths, such as lying, gossiping, and malicious, sarcastic speech. At the very core of these behaviors lie the three poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance. Don't just think of these as outdated philosophical terms. The master in the text uses a highly precise, modern analogy. Think of them as literal substance addictions. Anything that makes you lose control and hooks you hopelessly means you are already poisoned. We often naively think that indulging our greed or anger is just having fun or venting stress. Right, but reality is brutal. Just like drug addiction, it might feel great and satisfying at first, but over time, you need larger and larger doses. Eventually, this addiction robs you of all control, completely destroying your wealth, physical health, and mental well-being. That is the true cost of being poisoned. If you let this toxic state worsen, you will inevitably commit the four grave sins: killing, stealing, misconduct, and lying for a seeker of truth. Clinging desperately to these destructive behaviors means completely forfeiting the capacity to seek wisdom. Why? Because your time and energy are entirely drained by these toxic habits, leaving you deeply mired in suffering with no way out. R. The field of blessings, gratitude, the power of connection. Now that we've diagnosed the problem, let us move into the second part, which is all about the powerful connection we share with the rest of the world. In the text, the student asks a question we might all wonder about when it comes to gratitude. Who exactly should we be grateful to? Is the field of blessings, the source where we plant seeds for good fortune, limited only to the great Buddhas, bodhisattvas, or the parents who raised us? The master's reply is a profound, goosebumps-inducing moment of epiphany. He offers a revolutionary correction. Whatever nurtures you is your field of blessings. Think about what that means. It means that even if a complete stranger lends you a hand or provides you with a meal, at that exact moment, they are nurturing your life. In that single moment, that person becomes a field of blessings deserving of your deepest gratitude. From this perspective, all living beings in the world are the foundation of our interconnectedness. If you show ingratitude or return kindness with enmity, you are essentially cutting off the very nutrients that sustain you, condemning yourself to endless suffering. Conversely, viewing every person and thing that has ever nurtured you as a field of blessings and treating them with reverent gratitude is the ultimate secret weapon for growing your wisdom and blessings. Psi, the sixth sense, is the protective shield guarding our perception. Understanding this interconnected power brings us to the third part, the six senses and precepts of restraint. Let's look at how to build an effective protective shield for ourselves. In reality, ordinary people and enlightened beings use the exact same hardware. We all have eyes, ears, and brains, the six senses. But where lies the difference? Ordinary people constantly use these senses to chase external stimulation and fleeting pleasures, which usually leads to trouble, mistakenly chasing suffering as if it were joy. Enlightened Buddhas use the exact same six senses to cultivate wisdom, ultimately achieving liberation. The tools are identical, the key lies entirely in how you use them. To emphasize this, the text quotes a powerful passage from the ancient scripture. The Shurangama Sutra, the very things that bind you to the endless cycle of life and death are your six senses, yet the very things that can bring you swift peace, joy, and liberation are also those exact same six senses. There is nothing else. So, how do we protect this incredibly powerful yet easily compromised sensory system? The text introduces the concept of precepts of restraint, which is, simply put, life protective shield. It serves the highly practical functions. It prevents public embarrassment. It stops you from doing foolish things that invite ridicule. It protects you from yourself. It prevents you from blindly rushing into fatal dangers out of a moment of impulse. The master uses a highly vivid analogy here. Breaking this protective shield is like an arrogant, blind driver speeding down the road, seeing what looks like water ahead. You hit the gas to drive through it only to find out it was a mirage. Or worse, the bottomless abyss. This is just like blindly throwing all your money into a sketchy investment hoping to get rich quick, only to lose everything. That is the consequence of losing your shield. Without the shield, navigating life recklessly will eventually land you in the eight difficulties, a state of extreme adversity and suffering. In this dire condition, you don't even have room to breathe. All your energy is consumed by merely enduring pain, making learning, growth, or self-transformation completely impossible. 4. Untying the knots of entanglement, the path to liberation. After going through diagnosis and protection, we finally arrive at the final chapter. It is time to see how we can break free from these shackles. The knots mentioned here are not like the knots you tie on your shoelaces. The master explains that a knot is a powerful psychological binding. Once you tie a knot around something, it becomes your master, and you become its loyal slave, willingly spending your time, energy, and money to feed and obey the very habit you are addicted to. And here is the most terrifying part. Do not think that simply flipping your emotions means you are free. For instance, if you used to love someone passionately but now hate them bitterly, you haven't broken free at all. The image in your mind remains permanently etched. You have merely changed the way you are bound to it. As long as the knot isn't truly untied, you remain its prisoner. So, how do we untie this dead knot? The dialogue quotes the Sutra of the Inconceivable Scope of the Tathagatas, pointing out the only way out. You must consciously plant brand new, healthy seeds. You cannot break a bad habit simply by fighting it head-on. Instead, you must cultivate entirely new wholesome roots through reverence, respect, and sincere giving. To stop feeding those toxic habits, we must activate our protective shield to block them out, and then actively redirect all our energy toward positive actions. Maintain mindfulness. Express respect to the people and things that nurture us. Give humbly and practice conscious gratitude. This is the healthy nourishment we use to replace toxic habits. And it is the only way to make those bad habits wither away completely. Food for thought. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to leave you with a sharp question to reflect on. Look honestly at your behavior today. Who is nurturing your life right now? Are you tying more painful knots of ingratitude for yourself? Or are you planting the seeds of gratitude for your future awakening and freedom? I hope today's sharing brings you some fresh inspiration. See you next time.